Hello, good evening, and welcome to our first online Python tutorial classes. My name is Jonah. This is ICP Training Enterprise, our first video on Python programming. So, in the course of Python tutorials, we're going to commence from the very basics and we're going to take it up to discover many more things that we can do with Python. So let's get down with it as soon as possible. Python, first of all, is a high-level programming language. Like I mentioned, I'm going to start to introduce Python from the very basics and then gradually pick it up from there. Python is used for diverse applications, from simple basic applications to things as complex as what you can think of. You could effectively use it to design web applications, to write internet scripts, to write database applications, or even design games or web applications. Now, the benefit or the beauty of Python is that it's already an interpreted programming language. By an interpreted programming language, that definitely means that, quite unlike programming languages such as Java, C++, of which you need to compile the application and then convert it into an executable code that the machine will understand. Python already comes with an interpreter and the codes are already written in an interpreted form. Let me show you an example of what I mean by that. For example, if I go to this is a Java project that I handled sometime. Now, ideally, Java files or JavaScripts usually are saved with the extension .java. But you notice that if I double click on this program, this application cannot launch on its own because the codes in which Java is written with are not understood by the computer. So the Java compiler needs to convert it, first of all, into this .class mode, after which it will also now be recompiled into a .java file, a .jar file. If you look at the extension of this particular file, you'll see it has, sorry, that's not the one. This has a .jar file. So the .jar file is now what the computer will be able to understand, by which time the Java compiler has interpreted or done everything, to put it in a way that the computer will be able to understand, which will now work. So you definitely need to have a Java interpreter or a compiler, whatever it's called, that will be able to run your Java code as an executable jar file, which you can see here. But that's not definitely the case with Python. Python, if you look at the Python codes, they usually come already interpreted. Once you write your Python codes, those codes are already interpreted. So if I want to launch any of these Python classes, all I have to do is either I can double click on it and my IDE, which is PyCharm here, will capture. By the way, we'll come to PyCharm pretty soon in the course of the video. So the IDE will capture the application and will open it by default, okay? But if I want to use the Python interpreter directly, all I have to do is right click on the new class, go to open with. Okay, let me go to this is my Python interpreter. So if I click on OK, the Python interpreter already grabs the application and runs it. That was what came out in the black background that you saw popping up just a few minutes ago, because there isn't really much that is there in the code. That's why it can't really do much. Okay, now first of all, how do we install Python? Let's see how we can start from there. Now, to install Python on your system, that's the interpreter, all you have to do is go to the Python website, which is www.python.org, and you can download either Python 3 or Python 2. These are two different versions of Python that are currently being hosted out there. Now, what's the difference between Python 3 and Python 2? Or why would you want to subscribe for Python 3 and not go for Python 2? Well, for now, Python 2 is very stable. It has a whole lot of community support and a whole lot of libraries that are out there that will help you accomplish a whole lot of things that you want to do. Python 3 is the future of Python, meaning that more advanced features are currently coming out in Python 3, but for now, it still has limited support, limited device support, limited compatibility issues. Those are still the issues. So for now, people are still trying to migrate from Python 2 to Python 3. So feel free to pick anyone that you want to. They both function very fine. They both, would get the job done, and it's relatively easy. But for the sake of those who are completely beginners, we recommend that you start with Python 2 so that you can learn the basics of Python and then advance into Python 3, which will now become very easy to understand. So once you click on that button, and you'll be able to download this from here. As you can see going on in my computer, I already have the software, so I won't have to download all over again. So by the time the download is done, in your own case, so these are the two different. I happen to have Python 2 and Python 3 installed on my system. So all you have to do is double click on the Python file, in the Python interpreter file, and then okay, so in my own case I already have the interpreter installed on my system. That's why it's showing me these options of change, repair, and remove. But if you don't have these already, it's going to give you the option to click on next and then install the interpreter on your system. So once you get that done, I'm canceling this because I already have it on my system already. Once you get that done, your computer is set and you now have a Python interpreter on your PC. But how do you start making use of the Python interpreter to launch or write your Python codes or Python scripts? Now, after installing the Python interpreter, you notice that if you type Python on your search icon, you have a command line, which is the interactive mode of Python, where you get to interact with the Python interpreter directly. For example, if I want to print something like hello, all I have to do is type it out and then press enter, and then that will done. So anything I type here is directly interpreted by the Python interpreter, and it's a direct work. I don't have to save any file or do anything. I can just work directly with the Python interpreter using the command line. This is the Python command line. Okay, but if I also want to make use of another wonderful application that is out there, there's something called idle. If you just type in idle after you've installed the Python interpreter, you'll see this Python GUI coming out. There really isn't any much difference between the Python IDLE and the Python command prompt. Okay, the only thing there is that these provide some colored codes or color differences. So for instance, if I want to write the same print hello, you get to see that there are some coloring that the IDLE provides to codes to make it look appealing a bit, but the functionality is still pretty much the same. So these are the two. After you've installed your Python interpreter, these are the two environments that come in handy for you to use to interact with the Python interpreter directly. Okay, but the problem here is that if you decide to go with this, then you must be sure that you are professional in Python and you definitely don't make any errors in any of your codes, because as you type your codes down, if there are any errors anywhere, the interpreter will not be able to detect any errors in your code until you started running the program. That's by hitting the enter button. That's when the interpreter gets to show you that there's an error in your code. So take for instance, if I would want to print this hello and I maybe left out the apostrophe signs that are there and I typed hello like that, there is no indication whatsoever that what I've typed so far is an error. So it's only when I hit the enter button and I try to run this particular statement, that is when I'll get the error information. So that is why using the interpreter directly, one of the many reasons why using the interpreter directly isn't really recommended. Same goes here. If you were to try it here too, there is no form of error indication, but by the time you launch or hit the enter button, that's when you get the error information. So in order to avoid all of that, we recommend that you get yourself a wonderful Python IDE that will make your programming a little bit easier. For me, I'm using PyCharm. Okay, this is the IDE I'm using to program my Python. It's called PyCharm. So if you want to download this, I'm pretty sure you can also go to, let's see, I'm pretty much not so sure if I got that address correct. Okay, it appears okay. There's so probably you go to Google and then type PyCharm. So that will take you to the PyCharm website directly. So you can click on that button, go to the PyCharm website, and then download the community free version of the PyCharm. Okay, once you can download and install that, follow the installation setup instructions step by step, and you'll be able to download the PyCharm installed in your system. So once that is done, once you have the IDE, then you're set to go. All you have to do is click on File, click on a new project, create a new Python project, and then once you've done that, right click on the project that you've created, New, and then Python file. Once you've done that, just give it a name and then make sure it's a Python file and then click OK. With that, you're good to go. The programs are ready to run. So presently, we want to look at some of the things that we can do, at least for those of you who are learning Python completely new. What are some of the things that we can do with Python? Well, it'll interest you to know that Python is one of the languages that makes it very easy for you to perform complex applications and do complex things. Okay, I'm going to end this video here now, but in the next subsequent editions of the video that I'm going to produce, I'm going to show you some of the things that we can proceed or start doing with a Python interpreter well installed, as well as the Python IDE being PyCharm well installed on a PC. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video. I hope this video was helpful, meaningful. If you have any questions or anything you don't understand from the video I've just produced, kindly hit me on the YouTube channel where you're watching this video. Type your question out clearly and I'll be able to produce another video in order to answer your questions. So for now, I look forward to seeing you all on the next edition of the video that we're going to launch and getting started.